Alright, so this is going to be my first real video on the channel where I'm going to give my review of Godzilla the Planet Eater. I just finished watching it, and I thought might as well draw while I'm giving my thoughts on the film. It's going to be kind of a stream of consciousness thing. I've been meaning to upload videos where I show my drawing process because a lot of people have been asking me to show that, but I haven't really found any good occasion to do so. But this new film, I think, will provide a good one to do so. Not quite sure what I want to draw yet. I do want to draw something from the film. And there are a lot of great shots in the film, so there's a lot to choose from. But overall, and this will probably be spoilers because I'm going to be talking about things I thought about the entire anime trilogy in general. Overall, I liked this one. I think this is my favorite of the trilogy. I know a lot of people have been saying that, and I think it is because it's just probably the most well-rounded. It has like a beginning, a middle, and an end. It has a good climax. It has good characters. Haruo's story is kind of completed in this film. Yeah, I think I'm gonna draw this scene where Godzilla's getting picked up by King Ghidorah, or just Ghidorah in this film. I've not been a fan of the anime trilogy so far, and I was very disappointed by it. I know a lot of people are, but and I don't know if this film makes up for the whole trilogy. I'll have to think about it. Overall, I think this would have worked better as an actual just show, instead of three kind of drawn out films, because there's a lot of big ideas that they wanted to introduce in this series that they didn't have time to really expound upon. But they did still have to create three full feature-length films. And just not enough material to do so. So I felt like a lot of scenes were really drug out. I mean, that's how it always is in Godzilla movies. You know, there's a lot of just scenes of just people talking, discussing what they're seeing. And that's fine. I don't mind that. I mean, I'm a big fan of basically all Godzilla films. So I don't mind if it's like that. But I just felt like this was a missed opportunity, especially with all the marketing around Mechagodzilla and that whole fiasco where he ends up not being in any of the films. And we get to see just a brief glimpse of Mothra in this film, which was really disappointing too. So I don't know. It's been kind of a mixed bag. It's been, you know, a lot of promises, or, you know, the advertising promised more than what the films actually had. I do really like Godzilla Earth's design. Especially with like the kind of like beard he has. I think that's pretty cool. I'm definitely not gonna be able to show the entire drawing process on here, just probably bits and pieces, because it does take me actually a very long time to draw. Because right now all I'm doing is laying down some really light pencil work, and then I'll go back in later and ink it. Yeah, I kind of like this pose he's in right now. He's a very stationary Godzilla. He doesn't do a lot of movement, and I don't mind that either. I mean, like it's not, the action in the film is mostly just a bunch of, like, you know, scientists standing around describing what they're seeing and how they can't believe it. It kind of reminds me of like an old Star Trek. I don't know. It's like Star Trek, you know, like the older episodes, not the J.J. Abrams ones, where they're just going on and on. They're just talking about how, you know, the shield, their power, and just a bunch of men in a room standing discussing that. That's basically the action in this film too. because the fight with Ghidorah is basically just them discussing, like, Godzilla can't touch him and Ghidorah can touch Godzilla, so it's just them discussing like this bunch of pseudoscience about why this is happening, and that's fine. I think that's entertaining. Yeah, I need to find a way to make edited videos because, like, I could speed up, like do a speed drawing or something. Because yeah, I won't be able to get up the full drawing. This is just kind of an experimental thing. This has to be one of my favorite, actually. Now I'm thinking about it, I do really like how they treated Ghidorah in this film because he is from outer space. He is kind of a almost Cthulhu-esque elder god. Yeah, I really like that. I like that. I don't like his design. Not gonna lie, I still am not very fond of it. He's just a bunch of heads coming out of black holes, and he's just kind of pure energy. I mean, the concept behind it I think is cooler than the actual visual design. I do like him having a lot of eyes, though. It does give him that, like, eldritch horror kind of feel. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm liking how this is turning out. And there's another Ghidorah head here biting him. I do like how they gave Ghidorah his kind of Showa-esque roar, the like weird bell sound he makes. And Mothra made a very Showa-esque sounds too. Like, there's a lot to like about these films. There's a lot of deep Toho references. Um, the bigger ideas they try to go for aren't really fleshed out enough for me to really get into, but it's fine. It adds something to the film. And I don't mind it being different. This is, I think, the 34th Godzilla film, if I'm not mistaken. And they're all very similar films, so I don't mind them taking risks, changing things up, deviating from the formula. That's fine. There's 33 other films to watch if you want a more traditional Godzilla film. I'm just disappointed that it looks like they had a big vision, and I guess I don't know if they didn't have the budget, or because the advertising, said like every kaiju basically ever in Toho related properties is canon in this universe, and you really don't get to see any of them. Mechagodzilla is not in it. He's just mentioned, and he turns into a big city. Mothra's in it for maybe half of a second. And you really don't get to see Ghidorah either. You get to see him, like, in a silhouetted for a few seconds. But you just get to see this form here where he's got his three heads coming out of this black hole. You don't get to see him with his wings and everything, which we know he has because he has it in the silhouette form, but you just don't get to see it. And all the cool things that Godzilla does in this universe, like surviving 100 nuclear bombs detonating on him, destroying, I think, LA and in like 2 blasts. These are all really cool, massive feats that Godzilla does, but you're just told that these things happen. You don't get to actually see them, and that's disappointing for a visual medium like film. Especially when it's an anime where you think that you would have more freedom to do, even crazier things. Yeah. So it's disappointing, but I think in the later on, people will look back on this series. Now that all the hype for, get to seeing all these different monsters, all the buzz around it dies down. I think people will look back overall in the series pretty well, because I do think this final film wraps up everything as best as they could, and I did really enjoy it. I was captivated the whole time. Unlike in City on the Edge of Battle, which I was very bored through that film. It was a very boring film to me. I think Scarlet Godzilla is just amazing, but other than that, the film didn't do a lot for me. It was just a bunch of squandered ideas, and I was so mad once it got to the end of the film and I realized, like, oh, so Mechagodzilla is actually never going to show up. So I don't know. I finished watching that, felt very disappointed. But I think going later on, maybe I can look back on it and enjoy it more. But this one was a pretty enjoyable film. Like, I can see myself watching this multiple times and getting new things out of it each time. So yeah, that's basically what I do. I just put down some really, really rough pencils. Look at a bunch of different photos of different things I want to include. And to get inspiration from it. Right now I'm looking at a couple different stills from the film where Ghidorah's picking Godzilla up, those are all really entertaining scenes to me, but he's kind of doing that classic Heisei pose, the poster pose, where the Ghidorah heads are wrapping around him and Godzilla's grappling with him. It's a very classic Godzilla thing. This is going to be actually a really complicated image because all 3 of these Ghidorah heads are pure energy, so all 3 of them are emitting light. So since all 3 are emitting light, we're going to have a light source coming from this direction, this direction, this direction, this direction, and this direction. So it's going to take a lot of thinking to make sure that this looks right. And I normally do everything in black and white, so I normally really think about my light sources, and because I don't color. I every now and then I'll color something, but most of the time I try to do everything in black and white because I'm just not a very good colorist. So I really put a lot of thought into shadows and light sources, the penumbras, and all these other different things you have to think about when you're just drawing in black and white. Okay, is there a way for me to zoom in? Oh, cool. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's what I want. One thing I still don't like about, and this is the main thing I didn't like about it, when they first showed the maquette for the Monster Planet, uh, is Godzilla's eyes. When they zoom up in on them and they're this really baby blue color, I just think they look awful. And it's never grown on me. That has still not grown on me. So I'm just going to black it out. Because, yeah, I just don't care for it. Let's see, let's pull up another picture. Oh, and that's another very disappointing thing about the film is that he doesn't stay in his Scarlet Godzilla form. He reverts back to just normal Godzilla Earth, which is really disappointing because I think Scarlet Godzilla is just one of the coolest looking Godzilla designs. Like if I could get a big X Plus figure of Scarlet Godzilla, I would buy that in a heartbeat. Yeah, you know what? Since I'm the one drawing this, I'm gonna give him his Scarlet Godzilla eyes because those are pretty cool. Those glowing red eyes. I don't make it look like Shin Godzilla, but that's the fun thing about drawing is that you're in control of the picture, so you can change things. So I'm gonna draw him as if he were still in his Scarlet Godzilla form. Like you get to see it for like half a second in this film as he's heating himself up. It's like a last resort. Yeah, he has like a weird like beard almost. He's a really weird design. I really like it though. Just wish we got to see other, other kaiju. Okay. So this video is probably not very good. But, it's my first video. I'm using it more to experiment to see what I can do. And I do think a speed drawing format would work better because it's actually kind of hard to talk and get your ideas out and draw at the same time. So I'm thinking I might do that in the future, depending on how. If you guys actually like this kind of video or not, which I'm just going to put on my Facebook. Okay, let's see here. Alright, I think I've gone on long enough. I'll maybe upload a second video of me speed drawing the rest, trying to ink in what I did, because I think I got basically down. I don't do very detailed pencils since I'm the one inking it. I make those kind of decisions then. But yeah, this is just a little experiment. Just wanted to give my thoughts on the film. Alright. Here's a Gigan picture I'm working on too, with his modified chainsaw hands. I'm really happy with how this thing's turning out.